Hello, welcome. Today we're going to be working on this 335i BMW. This is my daily car, and we do have some parts for it. But first, we have to kind of get into some maintenance things before we start making it too much faster. So we're going to be actually swapping out the spark plugs, and then I've got a few coil packs that are giving me some problems that we're going to go ahead and swap out too. And then maybe we can start throwing some parts at this car also to make it a little bit more fun to drive, since this is mainly what you will find me in. All right, let's get into it. You know, I'm really excited to get to work on this BMW because they're so well engineered. Let's just make things impossible to reach, and then we'll make tools that don't even really exist. They're so easy to work on. Oh, why? It really boils down to simple mechanics. I'm never getting that back, am I? And that is enjoyable to me. Why would you do it this way? What were you thinking? So I can't wait to get started. So, like with most European vehicles, getting out of the realm of Japanese vehicles, which Subaru definitely is, Subarus are very simple to work on. You basically need like 6 socket sizes, and you're mostly there. Now, with the European cars, you kind of run into some other things that you need. For this particular job, just to do spark plugs, you definitely need a special 14 mil spark plug socket. You can buy those online. I will probably put a link down below for you because it has to have a very thin wall to clear the spark plug well. You also need a hex bit set. This is a 5 mil, so make sure whatever you buy has a SH or an H5, sorry. And then there's a few Torx screws. We shouldn't have to actually deal with any of those today. That's just kind of if you have one of these and you want to start working on it. And just to be clear, this is a 335i. The process is going to be the same for the 135i. And there's other motors. This is the N54 engine. It's this inline 6 twin turbo motor. This is going to be the same process for any of those cars. It's all pretty much the same platform. So let's get started. So this is how my car came. I do understand that there is a piece right here that you will probably have. Mine never had it. It had these air vents instead. But the first thing we need to do is gain access to this beauty cover. You can potentially take these off and slide it out, but we're gonna have to get back to the spark plug anyways. So what we're gonna do is remove this plastic piece. And it's not very hard to do. The first thing you need to do is pop off these plastic caps on each side. I'm gonna do one from here. There's a little rubber tab that pops off. That comes off. Set that aside. So for this plastic cap, there's a little pull tab on one side. There's another one on the other side. And then there's this rubber piece that literally pulls out, and this comes off. So those are our two kind of access caps. Next, we have a 8 mil on each side. It's right here that we have to get off. These 8 mils are barely in. They're pretty easy to remove. And we will just set them aside. Now we're ready to actually remove this big piece. Pull that out of the way. And this thing just lifts off. The other thing you have to do is pull on this plastic clip. It literally just pulls out. And then you're left with a hose that has little half circle clips. Let me see if I can get a close up to show you how to mess with that. Okay, so there's these clips that hold this wiring harness in, and you literally, see if I can do this and stay out of the camera. You just kind of pop them out, and then they come unclipped. And then there's another one in the middle, and one last one. They don't take a whole lot. And then our wiring harness is clear. And then this is ready to come off. So the last thing you will have to do is remove this, it's like an air temp sensor, I believe. And it's just got a little plastic clip that holds it on. It's got two little plastic clips that hold it on. And once that's off, this piece comes all the way out. Okay, our next step is to remove this beauty cover. Now that this crap's out of the way. And if your motor's never been messed with, you'll have 1, 2, 3 H5s. I only have 2. I'm not sure why that is. Actually, I know exactly why that is. Somebody at one point worked on this car and lost one of them. Helps if you drop them. That's probably what happened to the last one. Pop this up, and this slides right out. Okay, our next thing is we're going to remove our coil packs. I tend to just do them as I'm swapping the spark plug. So we'll pull the number 1 coil pack and do number 1 spark plug, and then put the coil pack back on, or the new coil pack. This is one of the ones I'm swapping out. So we will pull this. We will delicately get our plug undone. Okay, that was a little hard to do, but just expect that on these older cars. Then we're gonna pull this straight out, and that's our coil pack. We are going to check this for any oil, any kind of things that look wrong with it, because that could show other problems. I'm not seeing any problems. Next, we take our special socket with an extension. See if that's the right size. That is. And we start taking our spark plug out. Here is the spark plug removed. It's pretty crusty looking. Also, this doesn't exactly look like what I'm going to put back in. This is a Bosch plug. And I went with 8NGK. And if you look here, this is why you have to have the specialty socket. It's a 12 point. So you have to have this 12 point to go around that. So here's the spark plug I am using. Just for reference. It's an NGK. Always liked NGK plugs. And that's what that looks like. It's also much easier to gap. Slide this into our fancy socket. It has a magnet in there. so it won't drop out, you know, as you're putting it down in the hole. Drop this down in the hole slowly. Get it to where it's threaded. Give it a little tug, make sure that it's not just spinning and trying to cross thread. Once it gets hard, you give it about a quarter turn and you'll feel that kind of crush washer crush down. And that's all you do. You pull it out and you're good. Here's our new coil pack that we're putting in. Tell it's got the same thing. I believe these are Bosch. It should be as easy as sliding that guy straight down, and mine popped right into place. Put our plug on until it starts to shut that, and then we push that. There, that's one plug and one coil pack completely done. Next we'll move on to 2. Same thing. I've noticed when these get stuck on, there is a little lip that you can take a small screwdriver and barely put a little pressure to turn it. You don't want to turn it too much and bind it, but it's just more to get it started moving off. Here's our second coil pack out. I actually have not been having any problems with cylinder 2, so that's one I'm not going to be replacing. The ones I've had problems with are 1, 4, and 6. I've already replaced 5, but 1, 4, and 6 are the ones that I'm after putting new coils in. So I pulled this one out and it smells like gasoline. Doesn't seem like it's doing very well, actually. So this may be a completely toasted spark plug, which it definitely looks pretty rough, or my coil pack was completely bad. Okay, this is what I was afraid was going to happen. Now what's happened is the tip of this has pulled off and it's stuck onto the spark plug down in the well. So how do we get that out? So I don't know if you can see down there, there's a spark plug and then there's like a little round rubber thing stuck to the middle. So we have to pull that out separate because it's come separated from our coil pack. So how do we do that? This is one of those situations where the right tool comes in very handy. I don't know if I can get this on film or not. There we go. That's the clip. And it looks like the rest of the rubber bit is falling apart. So I'm gonna have to just pull pieces of that out until I get the whole thing out. I'm gonna get to work on this and I'll show you the pieces I pulled out. So I'm getting to where I'm not grabbing anything anymore. So I'm going to see if I can get this pick to be the right shape. I just broke it instead. How about that? I'm still pulling chunks of rubber out rather than the whole thing. There we go. So this was stuck around the neck of the coil pack. This is supposed to have a piece that stays on there, and the spark plug sits in here. And this came off instead of staying on our coil pack. So great. But we finally got that done. And there's the top of our spark plug. So just note that that's a possibility. I'm sorry, that's the spring to our coil pack. It's like this cylinder is haunted. Okay, we're gonna move on to the last one, cylinder 6. It's all the way back here for your convenience. There is a cross member in the way, some of this electric stuff in the way, but the process is the exact same. It just takes a little bit more creativity. And my God, thank you. Because if the rubber thing had popped off this one, I was gonna lose my my noggin. I will say, this car has been a great car. It's pretty quick. It hangs with like SS Camaros. It has a tune on it. Not as quick as the station wagon by any means. But for a daily, it's pretty good. And I've got some parts that, you know, if you guys are interested in this car, okay, that's not the same as everything else. So if you guys are interested in more BMW stuff, I can definitely record it too. I think this car as it sits is probably making like 350 horsepower. Probably less than that at the wheels. But it's not a bad little jam. Like I said, just let me know if that's something you guys are interested in. I don't mind working on this car. Actually, I take that back. I hate working on this car. Everything's goofy. It snaps together. Subaru is definitely more fun to work on. That being said, these things run pretty well once they're actually put together. So that's pretty much it. Now we have to put everything back together. And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna leave this beauty cover off. One, because I wasn't expecting breaking a coil pack, so I might have to swap that other one out. And two is I'm probably gonna be back under here not too long anyways, and it's not worth removing for me. So I'm gonna take the two bolts that hold it together, I'm gonna store them somewhere with the top, but we do have to put our plastic cowl cover back on. So here's this. Make sure these are open before you get underneath there. All right, that's how that works. Keep that open. We will slide that in and lift this electrical situation. Oh. There we go. That's clipped in. And this, you've got these three kind of knockouts. The ditch just slides into like that. And then you line this up. Okay, put our sensor back in. That just twists. Actually, mine seems to be broken, so it just hangs out there. Take our 8 mils, put those back in. Those little like C-clips that has the threads on it. It slides over that tab. Make sure it's in the right spot. If you're just doing this and it doesn't get tight, like that, then it should get tight. If it doesn't get tight, you probably scooted that C-clip out of the way. Time to put these back on. Okay, that was one of those projects. It's like it's really simple, but then it suddenly isn't, right? These are the pieces of rubber that came off of that coil pack boot. So if you need your car, I would totally plan on something like that happening. Either have a really small, shallow pick. That's how I ended up kind of pulling it off. Or I think you could get it with those thin, long needle nose. Other than that, thanks for all watching. I really appreciate it. Leave a comment if you have questions. If you want to tell me I did something wrong completely, I'd like to hear it. So thank you all for your time, and I hope you have a good one.